What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my review of the Google Pixel 8a. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is the Google Pixel 8a, and for full disclosure, I am part of Team Pixel, and this device is a gift from Google. Now, Pixel's A series has really come a long way over the years. The actual segment itself did start off with the Pixel 3a, so it's been about half a decade at this point of getting A-series devices from Google Pixel. And for me personally, I actually find the A-series to be especially exciting because I feel like for most people, they don't actually want to or need to spend close to $1,000 in a smartphone. But rather, if they want to go for a device like this, you're really getting the best of both worlds because you're still getting a very capable smartphone that's also fast, and we're also getting excellent cameras here, and since this phone is directly from Google, you are going to be getting the latest and greatest Android software updates for many years into the future, and also in a very timely manner. So overall, Google's A series really has a lot going for it. And what's especially awesome about the Pixel 8a is that this phone really does live up to that really awesome reputation of the A series. And I have also created a video comparing this device to the predecessor, the Pixel 7a, so definitely make sure to check that video out on the channel as well. But going from that generation to this one, it's not like they made a bunch of major differences, but it was really more of an evolution from the predecessor, really making things even better from what they already had before that was already really good. Now before we get too far into things here with the actual phone itself, let's see what all comes included in the box. Now this phone is also offered in various colors, by the way, and I will be linking it in the video description so you can see all your various options. But the box here is pretty slim. We have a photo of the phone up front here, of course. And then opening this up, you can see we do have a USB OTG adapter, which could be helpful in certain situations. We're also getting a double-sided USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. And then also we have this packet right here. And in the packet, we have a SIM card removal tool. And then we also have some literature here as well. So unfortunately, there is no USB wall adapter included, so you'd have to provide that on your own. Now, one of the new things this time around with the Google Pixel 8a is that we have a slightly different form factor. The Pixel 7a was very boxy in comparison to this device, which has rounded corners, and in general, it's very easy to hold in the hand. Even though this phone is actually pretty large with a 6.1-inch display, it's still very pocketable, and this form factor really does make the phone stand out from a lot of other phones that I've used lately. So again, with this device, we are getting a 6.1-inch display featuring Corning Gorilla Glass 3, so that does make it extra durable. The display technology we're getting here is OLED, and the device does feature a 120Hz refresh rate. So that faster refresh rate is a great upgrade compared to the predecessor of this phone, and in general makes this device feel especially premium. Now, keep in mind though that the 120Hz refresh rate is actually not enabled by default. So when you get the phone, go to your display settings, then go down here to smooth display and make sure this is enabled. Now that faster refresh rate does use up a bit more battery life here on the device, but overall I feel like it's worth it and I definitely do notice the difference. It is kind of hard to tell on camera, but really though, when you're using the phone, that faster refresh rate does make the phone feel a lot faster. Now, in addition to that, this display is 1080p, so things are very crisp and clear here. We're also getting very good viewing angles as well, since it is OLED. We're getting a PPI of 430, a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a more narrow but taller form factor, but pretty similar with most newer phones that have been launched in 2024. And we're getting an 81.6% screen-to-body ratio, so pretty small bezels all throughout. I also appreciate too that the bezels on this device are very symmetrical, so it just makes the phone look very elegant. Now up top here, we do have a hole punch for the front-facing camera, and that front camera is 13 megapixels. Now stay tuned though for a little bit later on in the video, as I'll be showing you a bunch of different photo and video samples from all the various cameras here on the device. Now internally, with the Google Pixel 8a, we're getting 128 gigabytes of storage, but there is no microSD card expansion. So just know that that amount of storage the phone comes with is all you're getting. Of course, there's always options for cloud storage, but nothing really compares to having a lot of internal space. So I do feel like 128 gigs in 2024 is kind of the bare minimum, at least for me. I suppose you can probably survive the 64 gigabytes, but apps really have been getting bigger and bigger, and it really seems like all the time, and especially as apps cache more and more information, it seems like Facebook and Instagram, for example, are at least several gigabytes on their own. So if you do want to fill your phone up with a lot of different applications, video content, photos as well, it is nice that we're at least getting a lot of internal space here. Now, in addition to that, this phone also features wireless charging, so that is a really nice thing to see, and especially on a mid-range device like this one. So wireless charging is rated at 7.5 watts, so keep that in mind. And to get that full wireless charging speed, make sure you are using a wireless charger that actually does support that. Now, with the Pixel 8a, we do have Face Unlock, but we also are getting an in-display fingerprint sensor. So let's give that a try right now. So we can see there, very fast and responsive. Let's try that one more time. And there we go, that works really well. Now, one thing to keep in mind though is that the fingerprint sensor is a little bit higher up here compared to other phones I've used. For example, Samsung typically puts the fingerprint sensor a little bit lower on the display. So it hasn't really been an inconvenience here necessarily, but just something worth considering. Now, taking a look at the dual camera setup on the back of the phone, we're getting a 64 megapixel main camera, and then also a 13 megapixel ultra wide angle camera that can capture images at up to 120 degrees. Now, here's how things look on the camera app. This is with the main rear camera right now. Then from there, we can go over to 0.5 to access the ultra wide camera. And you can see with that, we can fit a lot more content into a single frame here. We can then head over to portrait mode to get those nice blurred out backgrounds. And then we can also flip around to the front-facing camera and capture portrait selfies. Of course, you can also take standard selfies as well. So in general, there's just a lot of different options here. So it is nice that even though this is a mid-range smartphone, we're still getting many of the camera features that you'd find in a flagship. And then another nice thing too is that for video recording, this phone can capture 4K video with both the rear and front-facing cameras, with the rear camera actually being able to provide up to 60 FPS in 4K. But let's now take a look at some camera samples from the Google Pixel 8a. Now overall, I'll let these photos speak for themselves, but I've been very impressed with the camera quality here on the device. It really does continue on that great reputation that Pixel devices have had for quite a while. They've really given us the best photo quality out there, especially because they're using a lot of machine learning and AI to really ramp things up to the best looking images possible. So the Pixel 7a also had great cameras, and really this device is certainly in no way a downgrade compared to that phone, and if anything, it's an upgrade. So again, portrait mode's also great. It's also a great phone for capturing selfies as well. So I really have nothing bad to say about it. I did take the phone with me on a trip that I took to Philadelphia, and it was a really great companion for capturing excellent images as I was sightseeing throughout the city. But let's now take a look at some video samples from the Google Pixel 8a. What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with a front-facing 4K test video with the Google Pixel 8a. Definitely curious to know what you think of both the video quality and audio quality. And here is a 4K test video with the Google Pixel 8a using the main rear camera. As you can see, we do have autofocus here in video mode, and it is very responsive, which is great. It is kind of the middle of the day right now, so we're getting direct sunlight, so this is a good opportunity to see how the device handles differences between shaded areas and lighter areas. So it is a pretty smooth transition here. And then another autofocus test. Let's now switch to the ultra-wide camera. So I do like that you can easily switch to the ultra-wide while recording a single video clip here. It's not like you have to start a brand new clip when switching. Now, as far as performance goes, the Google Pixel 8a does have a lot to offer here. The first thing is we are getting 8 gigabytes of RAM, but the processor is really where this phone shines. So the Pixel 8a does feature the Google Tensor G3, which is the same processor that's found in the Google Pixel 8 Pro. So it is really cool to see that even though this is meant to be a mid-range smartphone, we're getting a flagship processor here in this device. Now, of course, there will be a Tensor G4 that comes out at some point in the future, probably with the Pixel 9 and 9 Pro. But at least for now, the Tensor G3 is the best that they do offer. And seriously though, as far as performance goes, this phone can easily take care of the needs for most people out there, probably 99% of people out there, including myself. So we are pretty much getting flagship performance of this phone. It's super smooth, everything's very well optimized. So it really is fantastic that we are getting this processor. Now I did run a benchmark test with the phone using Geekbench 6, and here are the scores that I got from that test. So I got a single core score of 1672 and a multi-core score of 4450. So what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone and then compare your scores to these scores to see how the Google Pixel 8a compares. But again, overall from my experience, this phone has performed really well. Now as far as battery life goes with this device, that's also been a great thing so far. The phone also doesn't get really hot at all, which is different from the Pixel 7a, which sometimes that phone would heat up a little bit. So I'm glad to see that we are getting better power efficiency here this time around with the Pixel 8a. Now this phone does feature a 4,492 mAh internal battery, along with up to 18 watt fast charging. But keep in mind though, you will have to use a charger that is compatible with 18 watts or higher to actually get that full fast charging speed. Now with this device, we are also getting NFC and stereo audio as well. So NFC is great for tap and pay, to use Google Pay for mobile contactless payments. And then the stereo audio is excellent too because you're getting audio out of both the main speaker and the bottom of the phone, but then also the earpiece. So if you're listening to music or watching a video, you are going to be getting a very immersive and rich audio listening experience here with the device. And then the software here is Android 14. It is running the Pixel experience, so basically you're going to be one of the first ones to get new versions of Android in the future since this phone is directly from Google. Now taking a closer look at the hardware of this device, we do have metal on the sides, but then the back is plastic. It doesn't really bother me too much, and I do also appreciate that we are getting a matte finish on the back of the phone because it doesn't really pick up too many fingerprints. But on the left side, we have just the slot for the SIM card. On the right side, we have the power button, and then volume up and volume down. Then up top here, we have the noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom of the phone, we have the microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and the speaker. But in conclusion, I've been a big fan of the Google Pixel 8a. I think this phone's an excellent choice, especially if you're looking for a good, reliable, mid-range Android smartphone. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Again, thank you to Google for sending this phone out to me, and I am part of Team Pixel, and this phone is a gift from Google. But with all that said, this is Kevin here, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.